Welcome back to Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. I'm Brock Galvin, soon to be joined by Dwight Smith. It is the Utah Tech Preview Show featuring an exclusive interview with Sam Goligoski and Trent Carrade, best buds who've worked their way up to being significant contributors and starters on the defensive line that had a dominant start to the 2025 season. As always, you can find everything you need at AggiePridePodcast.com. Our hats are ready to be shipped. This Friday, we get the delivery. For those who want to purchase a hat, we've reopened the sale online, so you can purchase them at AggiePridePodcast.com. You can also find all of our episodes there. You can find articles on each episode as well. That's where you can follow us on social media, on Instagram or X or YouTube. You can subscribe for $5 a month on Spotify for early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and more moving forward. All right, we'll start with Dwight's breakdown of the Mercer game and a quick preview of the Utah Tech game with him, and then we will have the interview with Trent and Sam coming up.
The Aggie Football Fund provides essential gap funding for the UC Davis football program, empowering the team to access vital resources for player development and program success. It also reconnects and engages former football alumni to maintain the legacy of Aggie Pride and perpetuity. Through direct and flexible support, the AFF bridges funding gaps while fostering a thriving alumni community. Visit AggieFootballFund.com for more information.
Heading to Seattle to cheer on the Aggies this September, join the Cal Aggie Alumni Association for a pregame tailgate at Husky Stadium. Tailgate and ticket packages are on sale now at alumni.ucdavis.edu/events. Also, spend homecoming week with the Cal Aggie Alumni Association. Starting on October 8th, CAAA is hosting a variety of events, including the annual Friday Night Social at Sudworth Brewing. Check out all events at alumni.ucdavis.edu/homecoming. Bank like a champion when you bank with University Credit Union. UCU is the official credit union of UC Davis and is committed to giving every UC Davis student, faculty, staff, and alum a financial advantage. From low loan rates and financial coaching to high savings rates, including our new Elite Certificate Special, University Credit Union helps you reach your financial goals. Visit ucu.org for details. Use promo code Aggie Pride Podcast to get started. University Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
UC Davis football stands for tradition, teamwork, and having each other's back, especially when times get tough. That's why we're proud to partner with Bold, Paulsner, Maddow, Nelson, and Judson, a respected California law firm with over 55 years of experience helping families and businesses prepare for life's unexpected turns. Whether you're navigating estate planning, probate and trust matters, civil litigation, or elder law, the team at BPM&J offers clear, compassionate guidance through California's legal landscape. BPM&J is deeply rooted in Aggie Pride. The firm is led by Craig Judson, a double UC Davis alum, and the Sacramento office is supervised by his son, Scott Judson, former Aggie Pack MC and past president of the UC Davis Cal Aggie Alumni Association. 4 other attorneys in the firm are also proud Aggies. From starting a family to managing assets or honoring a loved one's legacy, Scott, Craig, and the BPM&J team are here to help with confidence, care, and compassion. Their services include estate planning, such as wills, trusts, and powers of attorney, incapacity and elder law planning, probate and trust administration and litigation, conservatorships and guardianships, and general civil litigation. With offices in Walnut Creek and Sacramento, BPM&J serves clients throughout California. Visit bpmnj.com to schedule a free consultation. And this season, listeners of the Aggie Pride podcast will receive an exclusive $500 discount on the preparation of a comprehensive estate plan. Just mention the podcast when you book your free consultation with either Scott or Craig. Please note this message does not constitute legal advice. For personalized guidance, contact BPM&J directly. The firm's attorneys are licensed only in California. Bold, Paulsner, Maddow, Nelson, and Judson. Powered by Aggie Pride.
Welcome back to Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. I'm Brock Galvin. I'm joined by my guy, Dwight Smith. Dwight, we had a no contest last week. Nick King hopped on, crushed it, and
Absolutely.
And yet we and the pod community really needs to know where you stand. So give us all the top of mind things for the Mercer Bear no contest.
Yeah. Well, first off, the future for the pod is bright for a lot of reasons, but one reason that is very evident after listening to your episode with Nick King is, we've got a lot of guys that know ball and can get on a pod with you and break it down for the people. And so that was awesome to hear.
Or you.
Nick, shout out to you, Nick King. That was amazing. That was amazing. Yeah, man. I mean, it was a weird thing. Not on anyone's bingo card. And yet it happened. I mean, I was, getting ready to head out on Sunday, so I didn't have a chance to text you, but I was like, man, this feels worse than a loss in some ways. Like this feels weird in some ways. Obviously, implications wise, it's great not to have a loss, but man, it was really frustrating. Especially at that time, we didn't really know how the decision went down. It was good to listen to Coach Plow's press conference this week, where he kind of broke down what actually happened. City of Montgomery making the call ultimately. But man, it's a mixed bag because so much hype. We're making score predictions. None of them had a no contest connected to them, and yet that's what happened. And so, I've had a bit of a journey over the last couple of days with it, and trying to see it from the positive angle. And I think the best angle I can get on it is, similar to how, in the NFL, you get to test out your mettle in the preseason, in some kind of live contact with another team that's quality. We get to have that. Now there's a really big question mark of how this is going to play out. I want to just have to see where those chips fall, and our fate is in our hands in that regard. But it was really disappointing, man. Really disappointing. I mean, I think that I think that we were in control of a majority of that game. Obviously, there was stuff going on in the third quarter. The starting receiving core being unable to play, guys being cramped up. That we definitely had a dip, but there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to be able to pull that one out. So, what can you say, man? You guys broke it down really well. Not much to add there. I would just say I feel more motivated for the team for this Utah Tech challenge because they didn't get the result, yet they put in the work to really go get this result. So I'm hoping and thinking a little bit the opposite of a slump game, and more like, yo, boys, we need to go on the road this time and actually get that result.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a lot of confidence that this group is mature and motivated, and we'll learn in our interview with Sam Goligoski and Trent Carrade, which is coming up, which is a fantastic interview with two best buds who played at prominent California Bay Area high schools, who have carved out really significant roles for themselves. But like the player-led defensive meetings that have been happening at the frequent leading up to the Mercer game was something that really stood out to me in the interview with them. And again, folks will get to hear that in a second. I do wonder about one position who we were the most positive about, which was Caden Pennick. Good news is Caden doesn't retweet or like or do anything on social media. The dude's not reading this stuff. He's not watching the Insta stories. He's locked in. He doesn't need to. More power to him. And he's probably 19, 20 maybe.
Yeah.
And so to go from getting a lot of flowers and getting all the text messages to then having a bit of a struggle a little bit in the second half, but it wasn't the full second half. Like, who knows if he would have just flipped it on in the fourth quarter again, to then having this very interesting week 2 matchup in St. George. I'm really looking at Caden. And this is what happens when you're the quarterback of a football program. You're always the one that's going to be looked at because the rest of our team could show up and show out. But if the quarterback doesn't show up and show out, you might lose. So
Yeah.
it's a team game. It's not like he's
Yeah.
going to drop 50 points in a basketball game, but I'm intrigued. In looking at this game, Dwight, our chief correspondent Danny Alfaro will be live and in person on the sidelines. He cannot go to the Washington game, which feels like everyone and their mother is going to that one except you and Danny. But he's going to be on the scene for us. It's a beautiful stadium, beautiful area, Greater Zion Stadium, and a team that, like I said, won one game last year. But as we'll hear from Trent Carrade, this team finished the year decent. And I do remember watching the film before we played them last year of their matchup with Montana State. And they actually competed
Hung in
pretty
there.
decent. Yeah, even though the
Yeah.
score wasn't indicative. So there's a pretty solid review, a preview online on Aggie Sports Talk written by CA Forever of them by position group. And one of the things that really stands out to me, Dwight, is there very few returners at each position. So not only do we not have film on the 2025 Utah Tech Trailblazers, we probably don't have much film on any of these guys, period. So what do you think's the impact of like going into a week where we played on ESPN, therefore they got all the film. They haven't played since fall of 2024.
I love the hand motions for our subscribers or Spotify viewers. Yeah, it's a thing, man. It's a thing. You know, it also, as you'll hear in our fantastic interview, it's one of those it is what it is things. I mean, I just think we have a lot going for us coming out of last week. We are battle tested. We are able to identify the areas to improve in a battle test environment, which they don't have yet, right? So this is their first game. They've had camp. This is their first game with a bunch of new folks. So they're going to have to contend with, does that chemistry from fall camp translate to this opening game against a top 10 ranked opponent? That's for them to figure out on Saturday. I think that, it's a refrain every season. You can't overlook any team we're facing preseason, and definitely not Big Sky. And this is a future Big Sky team. So I don't think there's any of that going on. I think that you named an advantage. They have film on us this year. Plow also said there was a ton of plays they still had in the bag that they didn't actually get to because the game was canceled. So, I trust in our coordinators on both sides of the ball to dial up our schemes to not replicate exactly what Utah Tech may have seen on film. But ultimately, to get back to your question about Caden, I mean, listen, looking at that game, like, what did I say beforehand? I think he's going to be extremely impressive, and the mistakes he makes are not going to be the cost you a game type of mistakes. And that's exactly what played out. And that's basically what Plow said, is like, look, he made some mistakes that I would expect a first-year starting quarterback as a redshirt freshman to make. He also gave us 5 to 10 plays that showed us just how incredibly high his ceiling is. And to me, that's only going to go up. Like, his demeanor, like, especially after that play where he went out of bounds at the first marker and didn't get the first down, like, not only was he right back into gear to go, for the next play, but you didn't see a slump for him coming back for the next offensive possession. I just don't see him being phased by a lot of things, let alone going from an ESPN game to the first possible full game, weather permitting, in Utah. So I'm, of course, that second game after a mostly impressive performance, the sophomore season, right? It's always like, can you replicate what you did before? And I have all the confidence in the world. Now, the one area that I do think that took me back to last year a little bit, man, was like there were some gaps on special teams for us. And I really think like that is going to be incredibly important for us to see tightening and improvement on. There was great moments. Jordan Fisher blocking a punt for a safety. Like, how incredible was that? Like, what a great team and individual effort. But I think offensive defense, just keep doing your thing, man. Like, keep pounding the ball, keep getting to the quarterback, respect our opponent. Special teams for me, blocked field goal, missed field goal, punting was decent, right? So I'll be looking for tightening and improvement in that phase of the game.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you start mentioning guys making plays and special teams. And, another place where my mind somehow ended up going based off of that was health. And Lan Larison went out of the quarterfinal matchup at South Dakota, and it could have been a different game. And I don't even want to say the names because I'm not putting it into the universe. But there are position groups and there are people who need to stay healthy for us to play up to our potential. And so that is going to be, with every team, us included, something that we are going to keep close tabs on throughout the year. And looking ahead with BPMJ, you want to make sure that you have all of your estate planning ready to go, because you never know when things are going to happen in life. So if you need to work on your living trusts, your certification of trust, your wills, your durable powers of attorney for financial management, so on and so forth, hit up BPM&J and they're going to take care of you. And as we look forward to this Saturday's game in St. George, the question that I want to position to you, Dwight, is what single player outside of Caden Pinnock are you most excited to watch as you're on the East Coast getting ready for your cross country travel? Is there a lineman, a skill position? And maybe I'll actually make the decision and say, you choose skill, I choose lineman. Go.
Well, it was interesting, right? In the incomplete game that we played, I think our tight end group came in like highly touted, and rightly so. Rightly so. Their contributions to that 3.25 was substantial, but there wasn't kind of the type of contribution that I might have expected. And that's part of scheming. That's part of how their defense is dialed up. Obviously, they know we have 3 baller tight ends coming in, and they had a great defense. Mercer had a great defense. They you got to give them credit. We tried to go deep a couple times. They stayed on top of things, But both from the blocking game and the receiving game, I'm looking for my guy 23, Winston Williams, double ones, Mitch Dixon, and Big Zero, Ian Simpson, to really put a stamp on this game, both in the blocking and protection perspective, but then also in the pass catching, maybe in a more flashy's not the word, but I just know what they're all capable of. We saw Mitch got a nice one, Ian had a nice one, but I'll look for that on the skill side on the offense, and then on the defense. I'm less thinking about one guy, but I'm looking for who it's going to be that's going to get that first Blue Force turnover. And I think it could come from the secondary or linebacking crew. Looking at the track record from last year, looking at Porter can get up and snag them, Rex can get out there, and then we've got all these new guys that can move around. You did a little bit of a profile on Cofield; he's flying around out there. So I'm just excited for Blue Force to turn up the level a bit and force some turnovers this coming weekend. I think that'll be key.
Yeah. Well, when we look at the matchup against Utah Tech, My memory of last year's game was Reggie Graff being very inaccurate at the quarterback position. And he was 56% completion percentage for the year. And that was actually the best by far. And so the interesting thing for me is more so going to be looking at stopping the run. And so, you know, we've talked a lot about the Ivy League transfers, Jacob Syke and Darrell Porter. We have an awesome interview with two starters who really played a solid game last Saturday, and Trent Carrade and Sam Goligoski. And yet I'm looking at the big man in the middle. And so when I look forward and look ahead to Saturday, I'm looking at Rain Mayo Jr. and I'm thinking about November football in Bozeman. And I'm looking at him going against a lower tier FCS program at this stage that we think, most likely that we think, in Utah Tech. And I want to see us stuff the run. And I want to see us continue to, I want the first half of the Mercer story where they end the half with negative 10 rushing yards. I don't want the 70-yard Mercer story. And so we'll see. Run defense is how you win. And that will lead to the ability to rush the passer, which it really does look like we're improved in that area too. Dwight, to finish, should we do some Dwight's wideout shoutouts and some Brock's defensive tackles cackles? I feel like since this is your last pod in a month, we probably need to do that. So I'll start so you can think about your shoutouts. And I think you should go like maybe 10, 15, 30 people because you're going to be gone. Maybe one for each day that you're gone. But for me, Brock's defensive tackles, cackles, I would say the Aggie Pride podcast community is what's exuding some joy right now. And yes, that's players on the team right now. That's former players. That's super fans. That's families of current and former players. The exposure is pretty amazing. Really surprised, when you look at the amount of followers we have on social media, Dwight, you would not expect the numbers that we get, but because so much of it is shared and that sort of thing, like we're just growing really quickly this year. We're putting energy into it as well. And I'm just really kind of blown away by that and grateful that people are interested in UC Davis football, are interested in listening to us and our guests talk each week. And yeah, I think like we just, and I would just say like commit to giving our best effort on this and making this the best pod we can this season and continue to take it day by day, but really get a lot of happiness from the happiness that people get from UC Davis football and from the podcast. So big shout out to everyone and appreciate it.
Well said. Well said. Dwight's Whiteout shout-outs. A couple of people here. Got to start with Caden Pinnock. So impressed. So excited about what those 3.5 quarters in their totality on Saturday mean to me for the future of UC Davis football. And it's not about one person, so it's not putting all on Caden's shoulders, but it's really his emergence is emblematic of a culture, of a team that's building to something, to reach heights that we have never reached before. And I think the demeanor of him on the field, the playmaking ability, he's just, everyone's saying it, but now we've seen it live on ESPN. He is a leader. He is poised. Yes, young. Yes, we'll learn. Yes, we'll make mistakes. But I think Plow is giving him the freedom to do that. And like he said in his press conference, just go out there, man, and play ball. Pretend it's Del Oro and Folsom. I love that. I love for him to have that freedom. And with that freedom is going to come the learning edge, but the brilliance is also going to come from that. And so shout out Caden for your first start. Excited for many more to come. And excited for you to continue building. We're all behind you. Couple others. Jordan Fish, got to go back to Jordan Fisher, man. That blocked punt for safety was so special just because not only we talked about Jordan Fisher and his running talent and wanting to see him get the ball more, and that's great. That's going to happen this year. I firmly believe that. I think we've already seen kind of the vision for the rotation. But to see someone participating and contributing in other phases of the game reminds me of Land, right? And how he was all over the field and contributing on special teams. So just excited for Jay Fish to make a huge play like that, and excited for him to continue contributing to the squad this year. And then last one is, I think about all the transfers, Brock, all these guys that came in and just what that journey is like to leave a place and then be grafted into another place. And I'm sure that game on Saturday was a key milestone. Already getting grafted in through camp, through guys who came early, but that first game. So just thinking of all the transfer guys who are part of the Aggie family now and are contributing all over the field. And what I saw is a connected, um, uh, you know, a group of guys that, as you'll hear in the interview, are fighting for each other. Coaches that are deeply connected with their players. I mean, I think what you'll hear about what happened in that locker room after the game was canceled is another example of these guys are a unit. They're together, no matter what the result is, win, loss, no contest. And it's just impressive how someone can transfer and become such a meaningful part of that. So shout out to all the transfers that are contributing in all phases of the game, and I'm excited for what the entire squad, offense, defense, and special teams does together this Saturday in Utah.
Yeah. Well said, man. And well, I personally, and folks, don't worry, you got a beefy, lengthy interview with two studs on our D line about to happen. But I personally am a emo guy who cries all the time. Just because you're leaving for a month does not warrant tears. Do not worry, people. I'm not that soft. But I love you, Dwight. It takes me back even to I remember giving a speech at AIA, not AA. And it was like senior year. And I remember, it was your birthday or something. I gave some speech about like Dwight's my guy. And so I loved Nick King. He's great. And I heckled you and said, maybe he's going to replace Dwight. No, hell to the no. Like our yin and yang, the friendship we have, the affinity we have for the program, and just the different angles and perspectives that we view things from, I think is really nice. I think it's what makes this, I think a good podcast is that we're not coming in from the same angle. We view life differently. And that I always kind of pull you into all my projects, and the documentary's going well. I'm still a little sad it didn't work out this iteration, but just wait, people. It might come in time. But I think this has been, it's such a time consuming, tiring project to do this. And yet it's really meaningful. And I think people are showing up this year and supporting and subscribing. And we're getting a lot of sponsors, as people have probably heard, which really helps us kind of like keep having the oomph to do this. But gonna miss you. Hope you have a good trip. You better come back and do the podcast. Don't try to wiggle your way out of this, because hopefully we're still undefeated with one no contest by the time you get back. But yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
yep. So
No, I
that's
appreciate that, man.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we get, tears are manly. I've gotten choked up on this recording platform many a time. And just in case folks are just now tuning in, I'm going to be stepping away for a long anticipated family trip to visit my wife's home country in Ethiopia for the month of September. The timing is bittersweet, because it's a trip we've been looking forward to for a long time. It does mean that I'm a bit out of pocket, but I want folks to know that the Aggie Pride podcast is in the best possible hands. with Brock Galvin and this group of incredible friends of the podcast that are coming alongside. Brock's got a great slate of exciting scheduled interviews, of cool side projects. We've got Alfaro going to be in Utah. The recording in Seattle is going to be incredible. And I will be back at the start of October. I'll be tuning in. You better know that I'll be finding some way to get on Wi-Fi and stay connected with Brock and the boys, and send my thoughts over. But really excited for the kickoff of this incredible sophomore season for Coach Plow's program, and have no doubt that there'll be even more momentum than we have now when I get back in October. And I will be joining you back here on the Aggie Pride podcast, no doubt about it. But thank you, Brock, and thanks to everyone again for being on this journey to this point. It really has been one of those things that you have an idea what it might be, and then the reality just kind of sweeps you off your feet again and again and again. I remember Brock and I having conversations like at this point last year, a couple months in, like, wow, this is something that we didn't know was going to be. And to see where it is now, in large part due to the incredible outpouring of support, and Brock in largest part due to your vision and your effort. And so because of that, I know the pod is in the best of hands. So appreciate the thoughts, and I will be back before you know it.
Well, it's a little bit like Caden Pinnock. It's a little better than we expected. We expected good things. It's been better than expected. So we will transition you to now a really great interview with two up and coming defensive stars for the Aggies, and Sam Goligoski and Trent Carrade. So enjoy the interview, and we'll catch up with you guys real soon.
Aggie Pride is proud to partner with JG Graphics in Rancho Cordova, the spot for custom apparel, embroidery, and printing. Aggie alum Pete Povey and his team helped us design and produce our Aggie Pride hats, and the quality is next level. If you need gear for your business, team, or next big event, Pete will take care of you from first idea to final stitch. Support a fellow Aggie and check them out at jg.graphics or visit their shop in Rancho Cordova. This episode is sponsored by Larison Real Estate Team, Bob and Jan Larison. You already know the name. They've been incredible supporters of UC Davis football, this podcast, and of course, they're Land's parents, now cheering him on as he suits up for the New England Patriots. Off the field, Bob and Jan are one of the top real estate teams in the region, helping folks buy and sell across Idaho and Eastern Oregon. Whether it's a home, land, or investment property, they bring experience, hustle, and heart to every deal. So if you're looking to make a move or just want honest guidance, check out LarisonTeam.com or follow them on Instagram at Larison Real Estate. Huge thanks to Bob and Jan for backing Aggie Pride. We've got a new home for Aggie Pride, a UC Davis football podcast. Visit AggiePridePodcast.com. It's the hub for everything. All our episodes, ways to subscribe for early access, and our brand new Aggie Pride classic hats in navy or beige. While you're there, sign up so you never miss an update, and follow us on all our socials for game day content, throwbacks, and behind the scenes. And don't forget, like, follow, and share the pod so we can keep growing the Aggie fan community.
Before I start, you guys have heard me butcher your names before, so can you each pronounce your name so that I never get it wrong again?
Can I hear you attempt it first?
Sam Goligoski.
No, it's Sam Goligoski.
Goligoski. Okay.
Yeah,
I think
and then,
we've been nailing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brock, it's the Gol. I'm hearing a Gol. Goligoski, not Goligoski. Goligoski, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Been messing it up.
And then I'm Trent, and then Carrade.
Okay.
Easy
Been
enough.
getting that right. I messed up your
Yep.
high school early on when we ran into
I
your
remember that was
phones.
last year. I think it was like the Toki episode, and you said Maria Carrillo, and we got a good laugh out of that in the D line room.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if anyone on the team went to Maria Carrillo.
What's your guys' favorite player you've had on so far?
Ooh, big
Danger.
question.
Miles was a good one.
Okay. Well, how about out of the ones you've heard, past or present, which one did you actually enjoy?
I like I thought Miles was great this past like post football. That was good. Enjoyed having Zach on when I heard Zach. That was like fall camp last year.
Yeah.
D lineman, and then Toki's obviously hilarious. Those are probably three that I'd stick out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I that's such a tough question. Like the PC one, which is actually true, is like the next one. So you guys, like I just want to talk to everybody, because
Yeah.
I mean, we remember there's so many dudes that make up this massive enterprise, and there's only so many guys that can be on the field. There's only so many guys that get accolades and spotlight, and those guys are all great. But I'm always excited about the next names that come on that we haven't had. So I'm excited to talk to you guys. But to give you a more specific answer, the Toki episode was deep for me, man, because he got really real. If you remember talking about that Montana game and what was going on in his personal life. And I love it when the personal stories and our stuff on the field connect. So that one definitely left a mark with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, and I've said this on a podcast, like I really like the Larisons, like as a family. And we have like a lot of similarities just with kind of like my wife riding horses and them being like so into horses. And I was like raised on a ranch and didn't necessarily have like the same hands-on experience, but just like was always around that culture growing up and stuff. And Dwight's been to like where I grew up in the East Bay, kind of near Walnut Creek, which you wouldn't think of it being ranchy, but on the other side of the mountain, it's like pretty country. And so I've talked to like his mom a bunch. I've talked to Bob a bunch. But I honestly
I know
just,
they're sponsors of the pod too.
yeah,
Yep.
legit, dude. They're very generous.
That's awesome.
And
That's cool.
Big time.
And Land's just a good dude. Like he's just a
he's a
really
great guy.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Like I really like talking to him. So, but everyone's cool. I mean, I'm looking at the stuff right now. I'm like, man, we've had so many good guys. It feels like wrong.
Jacob Syke too. He's a winner, man. He's a winner.
He's dope. Well, let's just jump into it. Welcome back to Aggie Pride, the UC Davis football podcast. Dwight, you're going to be a little awkward tonight because it's a Club Fred D-line room edition of the pod.
Not awkward at all, Brock. Not awkward at all because you know who I lived with in college. So I already told these guys I'm honorary Club Fred.
You're right. Well, pretty cool episode. Sam Goligoski of Serra High School, Trent Carrade, not of Maria Carrillo High School, of course, Marin Catholic. Good buddies, good players, players who had a big impact on last Saturday's game, who we're really excited to have. So, gents, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, guys. Super excited.
Awesome. Dwight, lead the way. Football story time.
Yeah, we're fired up to have you both. It was great to see you suiting up last week. We'll get into that a little bit, but as you know, as listeners to the pod, and we appreciate your support, we always like to start with going back to the beginning. And so I want to give you both a chance to kind of share with the Aggie Pride podcast family your football story. So take it whatever way you like. Some guys, it's helpful to think about, when did my love for the game first start? And then how did that lead to me coming to Davis? But just give us a bit of your football story. Trent, let's start with you, and then we'll go to Sam.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, for me, I grew up just loving sports. Was never like the best athlete, but loved soccer, baseball, basketball, watched football every Sunday, was a massive Raiders fan growing up. And then decided to go to Marin Catholic for high school and decided to play tackle football. And I wasn't the biggest. I was probably like 5'10", 5'11", 160 pounds. But I don't know, for some reason, like I was like, I'm just going to try and be a lineman. And it worked out. I fell in love with the sport like right away. And then COVID kind of hit, and I just started like banging the weights, eating a bunch of food, and I kind of just like grinding my ass off. I really saw a vision. Was working out with buddies like every day. Specifically one guy, Dawson Brown. He's like an older brother. He really mentored me. Um, had a good sophomore year, played on varsity, was able to start for what I thought was a really good team. But we only got 5 games because of COVID. And then going into junior year, gained a little bit more weight, but was still only like 225 pounds, playing both ways as a offensive and defensive lineman. And then kind of into that off season, focused on gaining some more weight. Went camping at different schools around country. Really, I went to Texas. I think that was kind of like my goal. I wanted to play some big time football. And then went to schools like San Jose State, Cal Poly, X State. Never actually had camped at Davis. And then going into my senior year, I was about like 250 pounds, so I was a little bigger. And I had a really good year, like 16 sacks. But in my opinion, I think I just went a little under the radar. Wasn't the biggest. And I was fortunate enough to get in contact with Coach Brady, and he ended up offering me a preferred walk-on, and I committed within like 2 weeks, and couldn't be more happier about where I'm at and where this has led me. And I just love football, man. Like, eat, sleep, breathe it. It's favorite part of my day. I love being around the guys. It's the best.
Yeah, that's awesome, Trent. Thanks for sharing that. You know, I had to give you the chest thump when you shared the preferred walk-on piece. You know, Brock and I were both walk-ons, so you got a special place in our heart, man. And it's cool to see just the journey of even thinking about the different positions, the size, you know, how you kind of leaned into the things that have built you to be the player that you are today. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. Sam, what about you?
I have a similar story to Trent. You know, growing up, I had 2 older brothers, which were big influences for me, specifically in sports. So, I mean, I would try to play everything I could: baseball, basketball, football, all the above. And I went to Serra High School because both my brothers went there. It was kind of just like a given. I mean, I don't know if I even had a choice, but I couldn't be more happier that that's where my family sent me. Serra, like, I would say Serra was a big reason for my love for football, is because something Coach Walsh preaches a lot is brotherhood. And with it being an all guys school, I mean, the practices are a lot of fun, even though they're tough practices. It's a tough program, but you're with all your guys and you're doing some hard stuff in the summer. And freshman year, I started off at safety, about 140 pounds, like 5'10 ish. And then that season went by. I don't think I started, but I played a little bit. And then COVID came around, similar Trent, started banging out the weights, got pretty into Olympic lifting. And then I had 5 games. I broke my elbow in the 3rd game, which was tough and I was still playing on JV. And then my junior year, I was coming back. They said, we want to switch you to defensive end. I was about 6'2", 180 pounds. So I was really just like, I feel like that's where I kind of started to develop a feel for pass rushing, because I know I had to be like really good at something if I wasn't the biggest guy in the run game. And I would go in kind of on 3rd downs my junior year. And then I never really thought about playing college football until I remember I made a Twitter and I had like a few small D1 coaches reach out, and I was like pretty surprised, and I thought, okay, this could be a possibility for me. And then went to a few camps, went to the Davis camp. I made a connection with Coach Coombs, and then he offered me a preferred walk-on spot going into my senior year. I played 2 big games against Folsom and De La Salle, and I had pretty good games in both of them. And I thought the recruiting was going to pick up a little bit, although I was still about 200 pounds. So not a lot of people wanted a 200-pound defensive end. And then I'm very thankful I chose Davis. Came here, was roommates with Trent. We became best buds. Went through all of it on scout team. Had a great freshman year, and then sophomore year, a few guys went down, got the opportunity to play. Played little special teams, and then here we are now.
Man, you guys have a lot of similarities, which is like the first thing that kind of sticks out to me. Probably doesn't even need to be said because it's very obvious. The undersized element, the, even the friendship that you guys were able to create early on, the interesting COVID similarity of you both use the phrase banging out the weights. And because you were undersized, you know, I guess kind of gravitating towards like, I need to kind of rebuild my body. And when we had Alonzo Gilliam on, one of the things we talked about with him was like how he like remade his body over the course of like freshman to senior year. And there's how much weight and I guess more so strength for him that he was able to put on. But the thing that I want to start with selfishly is being an East Bay guy, and I've joked around with you guys before and being like the Bay Area boys, you guys both played at two really prominent programs and you both played under, and I'm pretty sure Trent, you played under Mazi, right?
Yep. Yes, sir. Mazi, that's the GOAT right there.
So, and Patrick Walsh, I mean, like I literally, and I haven't yet this year, but like during high school football season, I will literally listen to his podcast that he puts out. I don't know if you even know if he has a podcast,
Yeah.
Sam, but he is such an inspirational guy. And because he's from De La Salle, East Bay guy, like he's always been someone that I've heard of. And then to see what he's done with that Serra program and what you guys were able to do and what they've been able to do in recent years. I'm just really interested, just like I am in knowing all the ins and outs of De La Salle. Like, and Sam, we'll start with you on this one, but I want to hear from you, Trent. Like, what was it like to play under your high school head coach? And what are some of the things about your high school program specifically do you feel like really helped you become a successful college football player?
I think in the landscape of college football being so like, how do I say it? Like about yourself pretty much. Like everyone's kind of worried about themselves, and I think Coach Walsh really instilled it in me that like you're playing for your brother out there. And I think like I remember going to my junior year, it was my first time having Coach Walsh. I kind of was like on the fence, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm fully bought into what this guy's saying. And then like I would see him a few weeks in, I just remember like it totally flipped for me, and he would talk about all these things like when we would play a rival, he's like, we're not playing for hate of them, like we're playing because we love one another. And I think telling that to like 16, 17-year-old kids is not all of them are going to believe him. But once I bought in, I really just would listen to what Coach Walsh would say every week. And he instilled a bunch of morals I still live by. And I think he's one of the best coaches I could really ever ask for.
Yeah, like I said, man, he's an inspirational dude. And yeah, it's interesting to hear you even talk about almost like that doubt period with a coach, really with anyone, right? As humans, like there's that period of time where we're feeling out someone or where we want to see, are they what they say they're about? And coaches, we know this, right? Because we've seen a
Yeah.
lot of coaches, and as football players, like you can see through a coach. You can see through BS. You can see through a coach who might say the right things, but then like be showing up late to practice himself or, not be following up on what he said he was. So cool to hear that he kind of won you over and that the words match the actions match the words. Trent, what about you and Mazi in that Marin Catholic program?
Yeah, I think Marin Catholic, very similar to Serra in just terms of how things are ran. But I think the first thing that comes to mind is just like early morning workouts. Like the entire summer, we're there at 5:45 in the morning, practicing, running, lifting, conditioning, you name it. So when I got to Davis, like that was easy. Like, it was easy to go get extra work. It was easy to be the first one in the weight room. Like, that wasn't a problem. And then, I mean, Mazi, like, I love that guy so much, man. Like, he produces such good teams and sends guys D1 every year. But on top of that, he's just such an amazing person, and he creates such like a family culture, similar to what Sam had talked about. And, I'm forever indebted to that guy. And I know so many people feel the same way about him. But he really is just an amazing human. So forever thankful for him. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that makes me reflect back on a lot of the coaches that I had over time, and they leave a variety of impacts. Some positive. I have some negative impacts related to coaches, but to hear y'all talk about your head coaches in that way is it's special. It's special, and it sounds like it really did set you up for the journey you're in now at Davis. And I also relate to kind of the being midpoint in your journey, or like not at the very beginning, not at the end, but still in a place where I'm sure y'all have more to prove to yourselves, more to give. Sam, you mentioned like the opportunity that was presented last year, right, to kind of come in and make a bit of a name that some of us struggle to pronounce and some of us are getting better at, for yourself, and same for you, Trent. But as we get to kind of looking back at last week and then looking forward to the upcoming challenge, just want to hear a bit from both of you about what you think you learned about yourselves last year that's setting you up to be key contributors to Blue Force this year. And Trent, we'll start with you and then go back to Sam.
Sweet. Yeah. So last year, went through fall camp and like knew my role. Like, I was a key backup to Evan Bearden, who's a monster, like such a great guy too. Love that guy so much. And unfortunately, after week 2, went down with a wrist injury. So I got surgery and tried to rehab pretty quick and was able to come back within like 6 weeks. So I think I missed 5 or 6 games, and then came back with a club and worked my way back into being that primary backup still. But that was definitely hard, just, missing that many games. And I had really felt really comfortable in my role those first 2 games, and then come back and you're a little limited, and, your performance is a little off with, playing with the big ass club on your hand. But, besides the point, I think those D linemen from last year, Princeton Toki, Zach Kennedy, Evan Bearden, Sony Money, I mean, the list goes on. Those guys set the standard for myself, Rain Mayo, Jake Williams. Like, stop the run comes first. And then I think this year, like, we want to get to the quarterback. We want to be elite pass rushers on every down, and we want to make them feel us. And I think that's kind of what we're implementing into our game now. And so I think that the evolution for me has kind of been, all right, how do I take myself from being like a key backup to really like owning a starting role and being a leader, kind of being the most veteran guy in the room outside of, Darrell and Jacob, who are Ivy League transfers but haven't spent as much time at Davis. So kind of showing guys the way, owning my role, and then, creating havoc for the quarterback and stopping the run.
I would say for me, just a quick rundown of last year. We were down at Southern Utah. I don't think I had played much, and Jackson Cloyd went down early on in the game, and it was kind of just surreal, just being like, okay, Sam, you got to go in. I mean, and after that, I remember I play went my way and I got a sack, and the next game we were still down bodies. I remember one time it was me and Lucas Serac, only outside linebackers in warmups, and usually you got like 6 or 7 of those guys. And that was a fun experience. And I think those guys like Jackson Cloyd, Lucas Serac, Nick Eden, those guys really showed me how to take care of business. And I think on one side, like off the field, Jackson Cloyd really showed me how to like develop good habits, because college football, you're doing a lot of stuff, whether that's going to meetings, going to practice, taking care of your body. And he really showed me to always be early, how to take care of my body. And I feel like Jackson Cloyd alone, just that's the most positive guy I've ever seen, regardless of whatever he's going through. And he showed me to always be positive and say hi to a coach if you walk by him. Don't just put your head down if it's a long day. And I think that's something I'm very thankful for.
It's interesting. He's another kind of famous parochial school in California, or private school, I should say, in Orange Lutheran. And I think about his 2-sack game on Montana and how big that was. And now he's obviously still involved with you guys. I think he's like a quality or defensive
He's the
assistant.
offensive line assistant. He's the
Okay.
offensive QC. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and it makes sense when someone's kind of got that vibe, that jovial, positive spirit, like you're saying, that a coach Plow would want him to stick around because, and this is what Dwight was even saying when you asked who's our favorite interview. This is what we like to learn during these. Like, we don't know much about Jackson Cloyd. And a lot of the UC Davis like community or people who are surrounding the football program really want to know about the team. Like, even there was a DM, I think today or yesterday, and it was a lady saying like, I just found the podcast. Like, I've loved getting to know the team so well now. And so to know that like Jackson made that impact, we look at last year and we see like the 3 or 4 guys who had 85% of the reps, and we know the names, right? We know Toke, we know Evan, we know Zach. And I think to kind of see a new wave for the first time for us too. Like 2 weeks ago, we're like, is Sam going to play every down? Is like, what's the rotation going to be like with Trent? And now after game 1, and I think that's where I want to go. Like, that was the first play. I'm like, okay, like these guys are starting for 1. And then it was a lot of reps for you guys. And I know it's the South and I know it was hot and humid. But I guess just talk to us, and Sam, we'll start with you. Like, take us through all the emotions of that day, like what it was like to know that you were going to start, what it felt like. Cause I remember that feeling my junior year, like, okay, I'm getting significant reps all game. Like, this is legit. And then the battle, like the actual battle against a physical team, the humidity, and then the craziness that ensued. So Sam, what was it like down in Montgomery?
Yeah, I was definitely felt the humidity. And I'm glad we went down a day early, because that kind of helped us adjust to everything. But I mean, I'm not one who gets super nervous before games. I kind of we had a while to prepare for them. So something Coach Coombs preaches is really confidence comes from preparation. And I really took that to heart. And I feel like as a defense, we were meeting when it was not required. And we were just hard at it to really know what we're going to see. And I think from the preparation, I developed confidence. And I think that helped me just keep my poise in the game. And I think that's something I really want to continue throughout the season. I know you don't have 2 weeks for every team to prepare, but I really just want to prepare to the best of my ability and make sure everyone else is prepared, which everyone does a great job at. I feel like that's how we really get confidence on the field.
Yeah. Similar to Sam, I mean, we had 2 weeks to prepare, so we felt super good going into the game. We met as a defense, player-led meetings a ton leading up to the game, and we just felt super confident heading into the game. As Sam said, heading a day early to get used to the humidity was great. And then I think like one cool thing to add was just like the emotion of like knowing it's your, first big start or, big game. I remember turning to Sam like on the sideline before kickoff, and like, we've been talking about this for 2 years, and I was just like, let's go, dude. Like, let's fly around. So that was pretty special to me to, go out there and start next to my best friend, on national TV. That was really special. And then, throughout the game, obviously it's hot, but we've got a deep room, and, I trust Jake Williams just as much when he's out there. Love that guy so much. And so, rotating when we needed to, and just playing hard. I know we did. The humidity definitely did get to us in the third quarter there, and so we'll work to improve that as the season goes on, and hydrate better and that sort of stuff. But a lot of emotion, of course, as the game ended and we went into the locker room. And really, it was pretty confusing. I mean, I would say for the first 30 minutes in the locker room, we're kind of waiting it out, thinking we're going to play. And then I think you start to realize like this is going to be a while. People start taking their pads off, eating some food, like making sure they're staying prepared. Guys start talking. And then I would say like 2 hours into it, Coach Powell calls us up and tells us they're calling it. And so definitely mixed emotions. Like we definitely felt like, we were the better team, but Mercer definitely had the momentum, and, they were a special group. And so I can see how anybody could argue that the game was going to go either way. And, obviously we felt confident, but it's on to next week.
Yeah, that last phrase kind of gets to my question, which you said it's on to next week. And I've gathered from talking to you, talking to other guys on the team, getting to know the way Coach Plow orients all of you, that it is very much a wash, rinse, repeat, kind of on to the next. But I mean, this wasn't on anyone's bingo card, right? I mean, this non-outcome, this no contest, it didn't ever really happen. It's not a draw. It's just it was a dream, and it didn't actually happen type of feel. And I'm still grappling with how to feel about it. And so say a little bit more for you both about how here we are in the middle of, prep week for Utah Tech, and we're going to get there in a sec. But the last piece on looking back to that first game, like how are you just as dudes that love the game and love to compete and love the process and also love to win and learn, as Coach said, how are you taking that experience in Mercer and using it as you go forward? Because to me, I was like, is this like NFL preseason? Like this was a preseason game for us, but we didn't even get to finish, right? So how are you guys taking everything that happened and using it as you both move forward?
Yeah, I think really like me and Trent talked about in the locker room, but it didn't really feel real until Coach Plow started talking about it. And then me and Trent are on the plane. We're like, man, this feels really weird. Like usually you're on that plane with a win or a loss, and it's just pretty rare to happen, and definitely something I didn't think about coming into the game. But I would say for us, like we really try to detach from the result, and usually the result's a win or a loss, like I said, but this one might be hard to detach from. But really once the Mercer film review's done, and I think we all just kind of flip the switch and we're on to next week. It is what it is.
Yeah. Same as Sam. It was definitely off-putting. But I think like the important thing for us was like, don't play the what if game. Like the game's over. It happened. Didn't happen. And so what can we learn from the game, from the 3.5 quarters we played? What went wrong? What went right? What are some takeaways? How can we improve upon that? What did we like? And then how do we, stay level-headed heading into next week, which will be our first real game.
Yeah. Me and Dwight, we watched it with buddies, and slowly they had to leave. And then it's just like me and Dwight on the couch. And I'm like, fudge, dude, I need to get home. Like, I live an hour and a half away. If I leave and the game starts, like, I can't say this on a podcast, but I'm going to put it on my phone, maybe in my vehicle, but that's not good. I don't want that to happen. My wife's going to get really upset. So it was so weird. And I think, maybe a segue and something I'm interested in from both of you guys. Last year's Utah Tech game to me was a little weird too. It was like a huge crowd, which we all love those early season UC Davis Health Stadium crowds. Dear Lord, I hope they get better and better later in the season too. But we know that early in the season, they are pretty fire. They make the kids come, and it's packed, and it's like, this is what it should be. And you guys kicked a bunch of field goals and you dominated the game. I remember their quarterback was like 7 for 45. Like he was, and he's coming back, and he was a pretty athletic dude though.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting team. They just got announced that they're coming to the Big Sky next year, I believe, because Sac State's leaving. And so I'm just wondering for you guys, like you're going there. It's a beautiful stadium, but it's a small stadium. You're playing a team that won one game last year. You just played a team that was a quarterfinalist, and you were on ESPN. And I said this last week. For me personally, as someone who was always playing above my athleticism, my body always hurt. It still always hurts. And when I knew I was playing a big game, it really helped me. It helped me feel athletic. It helped me move better. It helped me just, that adrenaline carried me. And sometimes when you play, like when we played Southern Utah with grass that thick, 15 years ago, and it was snowing and there was 19 people at the game, like those were hard games for me to get up for. And so how are you guys figuring that could be a subconscious thing happening in your brain? Like, how are you guys talking as a D-line unit specifically and preparing with Coach Brady for a team that's having their first game of the year and you don't really know what you're going to expect? Trent, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think like most importantly, like the preparation stays the same. What we watch on Monday, what we watch on Tuesday, Wednesday down the line stays the same. And then bring the energy to practice. Got to have really good Tuesdays and Wednesdays and carry that into a great walkthrough on Thursday. That's super crucial. And then in terms of Utah Tech, I mean, we expect them to be much improved, and there's no such thing as taking an opponent lightly. I mean, any given week, any team can beat anybody. We're all Division I athletes. Same thing you see in the NFL. Any given Sunday, an own 15 team can beat the 14-1 team. So staying level headed, sticking to our process, and just bringing good energy to practice. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I think going off that, you talked a little bit about like the conditions and back when you were playing, and you could have 20,000 people in Montana. Something that supported us is like the word poise. And when you think of that, it's like, okay, you're in the big game, you got to stay poised, but also being able to stay poised in the game with no one in the crowd is, I think it's harder than the other one. And I think that regardless of who you're playing, I mean, it's tough subconsciously, I'd say, but I think we're really trained to just, it matters how well we play, not how good the other team is or their record. And I think if we stick to that process, the way we play is going to trend upwards, and rather than just we're playing a bad team, we're going to play down to their level. We're playing a good team, we're going to go up to their level. I think we really just care about like what's in the facility and how well we play overall.
I think one more thing to add too is like Utah Tech had a great finish to their season last year. Their last 4 games, they really competed. Southern Utah, they took to like double overtime. Central Arkansas, they gave a really tough battle. So, I mean, we expect a tough game out of them, and it's never easy to travel, especially to an interesting atmosphere like that. So, got to bring our A game for sure.
Yeah, I think 3,000 feet elevation. I mean, I don't, there's always factors: humidity, elevation, temperature, crowd size. And I heard Coach Plow talk about heading into Mercer. Like, there's the externals, and then the job of the coaches, the job of the players is to remove those externals as reasons or excuses and focus on that process. Focus on going to the commitment to the process leading to a result. And so I'm probably more excited for this game in some ways because of the no contest, because I'm excited for y'all to actually put in the work on the road, prove to everyone that, to your point, Sam, you are the most poised group out there to go from, ESPN game, 0 week game, to, the opener for Utah Tech and just bring that same energy. So I'm excited about this game, in some ways more so because of what did or didn't happen last week, and excited for you guys to, like you said, look at the film, improve what needs to be improved from last week, and really go to work in Utah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got a few questions here. All right. These are user submitted, and I had to screenshot them with my phone. So, because they disappear on freaking Instagram. So I only got some of them.
Okay.
But we'll see. And so, all right. And again, I don't know if some of these like actually make sense to you, or if you're like, dude, people are just screwing with you. Like literally someone says favorite Pokemon. Is this a thing? Let's start there. Is this a thing? Or are they screwing with me?
I mean, I'm not a Pokemon guy personally. I think Sam is a little bit, but
Well, Sam, this is you then, dude.
I definitely played the Pokemon Go deal when I was younger, but I would say Charizard probably. I have to go with him.
There is a Brock the trainer, I'm pretty sure. That's actually who I threw on the IG. I just looked it up because some people would tell me that. Trent, this one's to you. Favorite Marin guy on your team? Because you have
That's
there's
tough. That's a tough question.
There's a lot of them. I love them all. They're so great. I'm definitely the closest with Charlie Allen and Mateo Perez. I live with both of them.
Oh, cool.
And then Gavin Cook, I was super close with. He just graduated this past year, but honestly, super close with all of them. Played with a lot of them. They're great.
Nice. Sam, we'll go to you on this. Both of you could take a shot. Best food spot in the Bay.
I mean, I'm sure Trent's going to agree with this answer, but something that's not really exclusive to the Bay, but I think you can't really go wrong with In-N-Out. I mean, me and Trent had it yesterday, but there's no doubt about that.
And
Yeah,
go for it.
I'm right there with Sam. It's In-N-Out's like my go-to for sure. Back home, there's a little Chinese restaurant called Tommy's Walk in Marin County, which I love. That's always nice to have when I'm back home. But yeah, that and In-N-Out are pretty superior to me.
Do you guys
Boring
go
answers, I know, but
yeah, pretty basic. Do you go off the menu at In-N-Out, or are we just like a solid number one?
if you consider 4x4s off the menu, then yeah. But outside of that, pretty basic.
Here's the real question. Are you boys dip the fries in the milkshake guys or not?
No.
I'm not. No.
Oh.
I have tried it, but I'm not. That's not my thing. No.
All right. Respect.
Okay, Dwight, you know what that's bringing me to? That's bringing me to one, that being not that weird, even though I'd like to make fun of you. And that isn't that weird. But it makes me think about just like we were in the poor UC Davis football days, fellas. If you've seen our buddy Bobby Erskine, he still wears the Russell Athletic throwback with the Gun Rock and logo. And they still have staff on those shirts. Like, you just freaking look at the thing, you get staff. But Dwight and I, we literally would make mac and cheese and dump chili in there for some protein. And we were a pretty disgusting household. Like, it was quesadillas and mac and cheese and chili, and that was it. There was no nutrition or food table or whatever the hell you guys call it. So hit us with like the weirdest college concoction that you guys make.
I would say
you take it, Sam.
Honestly, like, the serious part of this question is Trent. Living with Trent kind of helped me become a little more healthier in my eating, and he really he's a stickler with his seed oils and all that stuff, and he's always eating some high protein meals. I haven't seen him eat too many concoctions, but I mean, freshman year we would always go to the dining hall, and some days there would be some weird stuff, and we would kind of have to figure it out. I remember those were
I don't know about concoctions, but I think the go-to for both me and Sam is like ground beef and rice. Like, that's pretty staple. Steaks if we've got a little more tank in the budget, and then I mean, that's really it. Meat and rice, pasta. And then it's pasta as well. So we're pretty basic. And then we've been fortunate enough to be fed now through camp like 3 times a day. So we haven't had to cook nearly as much.
And talk about that. That reminds me of Bobby Erskine, Brock, who was, I remember him being like, I think his major was English and his minor was how many ways can you prepare eggs? So he would be hard boiling, he would be, scrambling, he would be doing all kinds of stuff. But he was certainly Trent, I think, similar and like a stickler on the diet and the nutrition. But like, talk to us a little bit about that development in getting the guys fed. Like, how has that been for y'all? And I'm sure the food is tasty, but tell us about it.
I mean, shoot, so much credit to the donors and, Coach Plow for making that push. I mean, it's not possible without them. Like it truly isn't. It's not like just funding that we have at, a direct deposit. Like Plow has had to work for it and the donors have been super generous. And so we're able to go to the dining commons, multiple times a day. And then we also get like per diem, like US bank cards, and it varies, but it's typically like $180 per 2 weeks. So that gives us, a little over like $15 a day, which is nice, or 14, whatever. Maybe it's 12, I forget. But yeah, it's definitely nice to have that at our disposal, which is different from what we've had in the past, and I think that's really helped. And Plow's mentioned a couple of times now, but it's the first camp we maintained or gained weight since Coach Burke has been there. So that's great.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add on that, but I remember just when Coach Plow came in, his number one thing he was trying to change about this place was the nutrition. And I think like putting on weight in fall camp is something that's very rare. I'm sure you guys remember, but the donors helping us out with that has been a total game changer for our team, and I'm sure it affects our performance, and we're a lot more fueled out there overall.
Yeah, love it. One thing I would say, this was like a more serious question that was submitted, but someone went kind of like the more why route, or technically where. They asked, where does Sam and Trent get their inspiration or drive from? And then they said heroes, family, Bible, etc. So I don't know if they're teasing you up for something that they know, but I just feel like,
I think that's a real question.
yeah, I think it'd be nice to kind of know, like, we don't always get that, like, meaning, what makes you tick, what's your purpose, what drives you. So it would be great to hear from each of you on that one.
Yeah. Personally, like I'm a Christian. I went to Catholic school in high school, but yeah, I think faith is super important, and having something you can lean on. We do chapel Fridays for away games, or Saturdays if we're at home. And that's super great. Will and Jeremiah lead that for us, and we can get upwards of like 20 plus guys in a room, studying scripture and just talking amongst ourselves, which is super awesome. And then like family is super big to me. Like my mom, my dad, like I'm so proud to have been raised by them. Like they're the best. And then, my little sisters, I want to set a good example for them. And then just like my teammates, man, like these are my brothers. Like I love them so much. And like, just like I expect them to give me their best, like I want to give my best for them, every day of the week.
Yeah, I would say I have a similar answer. You're gonna be hearing that a lot tonight, but the chapels are something on the spiritual side, and that's something I also um, dove into at Serra. And Coach Walsh would hold great chapels. Going off that, my family all loves watching me, and the support from them is unmatched. I mean, they're always they're at every game. They're up in Mercer, and that's something that I really think for of why I play. And my grandfather loves watching. He watches tape himself. He's probably going to be listening to this. And then also really just the love for the game. I mean, I think truly, like, I love being part of something with 120 people that is all moving towards a goal. And there's so many moving gears, and that really just gives you a purpose, seeing all the people around you working hard. And I think that is something I really developed at Davis.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think something that you can see from a distance, but again, you don't know until you really get to interact with people. We thought that you guys were close friends. You guys would be hanging out together. And so to actually learn, like, yeah, dude, we're best friends. And then
Yeah.
the faith connection, the family connection, the high school connection, the lifting weights connection, the hustling to get a spot on the team connection, and continuing to elevate and expand your role on the team. Like, literally, I got dropped off to church my freshman year in Davis, California, and the guy who drives me home from church, the girl drops me off. She says, "My brother's going to drive you home." And Dwight's Dwight's adopted. I don't know if you know this. So a white girl drops me off, says, "My brother's gonna drive you home." And here comes this tall 6'4" drink of water. And I go, "Okay." So okay, that's your brother. And immediately I ask him, like, "Dude, because I'm walking, I'm like, do you play football?" Da, da, da. I'm like, we just hit it off. So there's like this faith connection. And Dwight and I were part of Athletes in Action at Davis. That was like a very big part of our journey at UC Davis. And then the walking on connection, and to hear again the similarities between kind of what you guys have experienced. It's cool, and I think that's takes us to kind of the conclusion. And maybe Dwight, I'll kick it back to you, which is kind of like this Aggie Pride piece, this connection that we have together that kind of binds us, that sometimes other outsiders don't quite get it in some ways. So Dwight, I don't know if you want to go through something along those lines, or kind of go last word, because it's getting late for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I was feeling the similarities between the stories as well, Brock. I appreciate you calling that out. But yeah, why don't we combine them up? So, to you both, this idea of Aggie Pride, this reality of Aggie Pride, it's something that we all share as folks that played and put on the pads, but we all have our different spin on it, right? So, and you guys are in it, right? So once you be able to speak on what it means to you, and then, as you probably know, we close out with kind of a final word. Our audience, your teammates, families, alum, parents, just fans of the program. So maybe for you both, like, your take on Aggie Pride, how you're striving to embody it, what it means for you at this point right now in your journey, and then any last word you might have for the folks that tune into the pod. So Sam, we'll start with you, and then Trent, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I would say to start off with the Aggie Pride deal. I'm actually rocking it right now, the Aggie Pride shirt.
There we go.
But I think it's something everyone kind of has their own journey with. And you kind of, coming in, you hear the Aggie Pride stuff, and you don't feel it right away. And really, when you're here in the facility and you see all these, because we have some awesome coaches that are all awesome people. And I think the Aggie Pride is really playing for one another and loving your brothers on the team. And really, like, when you feel it, man, you fall in love with it, and you fall in love with the team. You want to fight your ass off for these guys on Saturdays, and really just there's no place like Davis, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree so much. Like, Aggie Pride, it's real, man. Like, I have a hard time imagining if there's other programs in the country that have as real of a brotherhood as we do, and such good player to coach connections. I mean, me and Sam will stay back in the facility a lot of nights, especially throughout camp and early into the season, just like talking with coaches, drawing plays on the whiteboard with Shelton and Plow, and like, chopping it up with Coach Brady and Coach Hicks. Like, and those are some of my like greatest memories, man. Like, and I don't think there's a lot of places where you can go like mess around with the coaches at like 6 o'clock at night during a game week. Like, and I think that's what's special, is like these coaches care about you as people. Like Kevin Burke, man, like that guy, he has no relation to us. He's the running backs coach, but he loves eating his team meals with me and Sam. Like we chop it up with him, team meals. Like that's that's the best to me. And then I think my final takeaway is just like, keep supporting, come out to the games. Like we're so thankful for like the upward trend and support. Like it truly is awesome. And so just continue to support the pod, and yeah, go Ags.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us.
Dude, you
Yeah,
guys are
thanks,
awesome.
guys.
We're big fans. We're looking forward to week 2, man. You probably saw the poll we put out. There's a lot of love for the D-line room.
I
Don't
did
let
see
it go.
that. I did see that.
Don't let it go to your head. Freaking keep grinding, guys. I know you will. But and we
Yes,
didn't
sir.
even get to talk about all those guys in depth. Like maybe we'll have to have you on again because it's a special room. And after week
Special.
1, like we could tell, dude. Like you're saying, stopping the run the last few years has been a staple, but you guys were getting after it all four downs. And so really excited. We were juiced and go beat the freaking Trailblazers or whatever the hell they're called. And we'll see you guys in Seattle.
Appreciate you guys so much, man.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Trent.
All right.
Bye, guys.
All right. Peace.
Bye, guys.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. And a big thanks to David Collins for setting up the interviews with Trent Carrade and Sam Goligoski for their time as well, and being able to get them on the pod during a busy week leading into the season. We also want to remind you, AggiePridePodcast.com has everything you need. It has our episodes, it has our hats, it has where you can follow us and subscribe and share on all the different channels that you might listen to. Remember, Spotify subscribers get early access to episodes and bonus episodes. It's only $5 a month, so it's your cheap coffee for the month. Forgo one of those things or shoot, just add one more. You won't notice it. And we appreciate the subscribers that are continuing to grow each and every day. Until next time, go Aggies.